Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make all your favorite characters in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Today we are making Izuku Midoriya, or as he's known to the world, Deku. Deku lives in a world where everyone has an ability or a feature called a quirk, and Deku has the strongest quirk of all, One for All. This quirk is passed down through generations, stockpiling each of its previous user's power, and granting it to the current user. However, since Deku was given this quirk rather than being born with it, his body is ill-equipped to handle the raw power coursing through his muscles, often causing just as much damage as it does help. So beware of spoilers up to and including Season 7, and without further ado, let's get started. Deku is a human, so we are going human. In a world with bird people and sentient black holes, we get to pick the most basic ancestry of all. Yay! Humans get 8 hit points and 2 ability boosts, and we are going to take Strength and Int. As for our heritage, we are going to pick up a skilled heritage, giving us training in one skill of our choice, and at 5th level, this skill bumps up to Expert for free. For our background, we are going to pick Scholar with an emphasis in Arcana. Deku may have been given the strongest quirk, but he continuously has to study how to improve his abilities and how to harness the power that was given to him. He also does pretty well in UA, quickly becoming a top student. This background grants us an ability boost to Dex and Int, as well as training in Arcana and Academia lore. Being a scholar also allows some surface-level knowledge of most things Arcana, so taking the feat Assurance just makes sense. Alright, let's take a look at what we need for this build. Step 1. Make a plan. Deku can't use his powers as flippantly as many of his classmates can, seeing as his power harms himself just as much as it does the opponent. So instead, he is constantly analyzing the situation to try and decide when to use his power to get maximum results. Step 2. We need the ability to execute the plan. This means Deku's amazing mobility options as well as the power to use All for One to deal massive damage. Step 3. Honestly, I don't know. Deku has some serious anime protagonist energy in a world where everyone has one quirk. Deku gets 7. Black Whip, Danger Sense, Gear Shift, Fajin, Smokescreen, and Float. We need something that can replicate all of these abilities. Step 4. Profit. We need to be able to use all these abilities together to become the number one hero. Looking at Deku's fighting style, one would be forgiven for jumping to the conclusion of Monk, for its speed and mobility options, but we are going to go Oracle. Deku doesn't have any of the powerful abilities in his base form, so we can use spells to enhance ourselves to the level of full martial class, while replicating One for All's more utility options. Oracles get 8+ con hit points, which Deku will need all that he can get. The class also gets trained in perception, as Deku is always observing and taking notes. We will get expert in will saves and trained in reflex and fortitude. Being an oracle also lets us get trained in religion and one skill based off our mystery, as well as 3+ our int modifier. Deku will be trained in simple and unarmed attacks, trained in light armor and unarmored defense, and trained in spell attack rolls and DCs. For ability scores, we prioritize int, as Deku is a master at thinking through every move. Next, we have strength. Deku has been told multiple times that he is the strongest quirk and has the potential to be the strongest person in the world. Dex is next because Deku has become a master at dodging out of the way to keep as much health as possible reserved for damage his own powers do to himself. Charisma is next because try as Deku might, he sometimes is not the smoothest talker when it comes to the other heroes, especially at first. He does really good throughout the series at becoming a voice for the Academy though. Finally, we have both Con and Wisdom. As shown multiple times, Deku literally debilitates himself with his power, so Con is low. And he has this hero complex that drives his decisions sometimes past the point that makes logical sense. For skills, this build we will end up legendary in athletics and acrobatics to replicate the massive mobility options One for All grants us, and Arcana so we can analyze how villains' quirks work to more accurately shut them down. We will also end up expert in society, reflecting Deku's fanboy knowledge of all things hero. As for trained skills, we are trained in diplomacy to fill our allies with hope, intimidation to make villains stand down, lore academia because it's literally the name of the show, medicine that reflects the first aid we probably learned in the hero course, nature, occultism, and religion to identify the enemy quirks, performance in case we need to dance in a band, and stealth to stay hidden during rescue missions. Now that we're in the meat of the build, we can take an ancestry feat. General training lets us pick up toughness. Deku had to undergo a rigorous training regimen with the number one hero, All Might, to help prepare his body for One for All. This increases our max hit points by our level. We also get to pick a mystery at this level. The Battle Mystery grants us training in medium and heavy armor, as well as all simple and martial weapons in the Brawling Weapon group. We also get 2 revelation spells from our mystery. Athletic Rush gives us a +10 foot status bonus to our speed, and a +2 status bonus to our athletic checks for 1 round. In addition, we can use the action we use to cast this spell to stride, leap, Climb, or Sprint. And Call to Arms is a reaction spell we can use whenever we roll initiative to give all our allies a +2 status bonus and gain temporary hit points equal to the spell's rank for a minute. The downside is, whenever we use one of these spells, we put great stress on our body, progressing our curse. At first, this just breaks our fingers, and the pain gives us a -2 status penalty to AC and saving throws. Each time you make a strike, he can suspend these penalties until the start of your next turn, reflecting Deku's ability to push the pain aside and run fully on adrenaline. However, if we use one of these spells again, our curse progresses to the moderate curse, breaking our entire hand or even our arm. Now striking reduces the penalty to a -1 rather than suspending it altogether. However, One for All reacts to your will and gives you a +2 status bonus on all weapon and unarmed damage rolls. You also gain fast healing equal to half your level as long as you remain in combat, as your desire to help people drives you to go plus ultra. Now let's move on to spells. Level 1 oracles get 5 cantrips and 2 rank 1 spells. Light lets us use a flashlight to see in the dark. Message lets us shoot a text message to let our friends know we are in danger. They can even respond with a reaction or with a free action at the start of their turn. The message has to be brief, but try to send more than just your location if you're trying to call for backup. Stabilize lets us use first aid training we learned in class to save a dying ally. We never see this being taught in class, but surely the hero course teaches first aid and not just fighting, right? And guidance gives one ally within 30 feet a +1 on an attack roll, perception check, saving throw, or a skill check before the start of your next turn. Once they use the +1, the spell ends, and they are immune to further guidance for 1 hour. Eventually, your friends have to grow up and be heroes on their own. They can't always rely on you. Finally, we get Torturous Trauma to inflict 1d4 plus our spellcasting modifier of bludgeoning damage with a basic fortitude save. The actual trauma aspect is more of our own broken bones, but our punches do inflict quite a bit of damage, so this works too. We also get Shield from the Battle Mystery, but it doesn't really fit the flavor of Deku. Use it if you want, but it's not a huge deal. As for rank 1 spells, we can pick up Runic Body to power up our unarmed strikes to a +1 striking weapon. And as we level up, we can channel more of One for All's power, powering up our strikes even further. This is a good spell until you can get hand wraps for permanent upgrades to your unarmed strikes that can't be dispelled. The jump spell lets us use a single action to leap any direction within 30 feet. Just don't use it to go straight up because you do fall right after your next action. Right now we can only make a single leap, and we break our legs to do it, but by the time we get 3rd rank spells, this spell lasts for a minute, letting us use the action whenever we want, as many times as we want. We are also going to pick up something here to replicate an ability Deku gets a little later. Fajin lets Deku store up kinetic energy by making repetitive movements and then unleashing it all at once. The Echoing Weapon spell charges a weapon over the next minute, and at the end of every round we unleash the energy, dealing the damage equal to the number of successful strikes we made with that weapon that turn to an adjacent foe. Alright, that's level 1 down. Only 19 more levels to go. Stay with me. I promise we get through the rest much more quickly. Oracles just have a lot of things to juggle right off the bat. At level 2, we throw even more into the pot with Investigator Dedication. This gives us 2 more actions. Pursue a Lead lets us target a foe and spend 1 minute analyzing them to make them our lead. When we attempt a skill check to obtain more information about our lead, we get a +1 circumstance bonus to said skill check. And Clue lets us give that bonus to our ally if they make the same skills check. That fits the description once every 10 minutes. We also get the skill feat Quick Jump, allowing us to channel One for All into our feat, with more efficiency, allowing us to high jump or long jump as a single action. At level 3, we get started unlocking Full Cowling with the Fleet Feat, increasing our speed by 5 feet. We also get access to rank 2 spells, so let's take Clear Mind, Sound Body, and Sure Footing. These spells allow us to attempt a counteract check against any litany of conditions. Throughout the show, foes try to mind control Deku, freeze him in ice, paralyze him, or just plain hold him down, and One for All gives him the power to power through and keep on fighting. Read the individual spells for the conditions they counteract. This video is already running long as is, so I'm just going to skip them. Hey, did you notice that Jump wasn't even on the Divine spell list when we took it at level 1? Well, that's because at level 4 we have to take Divine Access to get it. This lets us select a deity that has a might domain and add 3 of the spells they give us access to and add them to our spell list. Yes, this means you technically couldn't have taken it back then, but there are no other spells I wanted, and you can retrain it now, so all is well. We also get Haste and Mountain's Resilience, but I will cover them when we take them. For now, we also get the skill feat Powerful Leaps, adding 5 feet to our leaps. We can already use the jump spell for a bigger effect, but this doesn't take a spell slot and it can't be counteracted, so it has its place. At level 5, we get our first round of ability boost. Strength and Dex help us on the battlefield. Int helps us in the classroom, and Charisma helps us to inspire our allies. We also can pick up the Clever Improviser skill feat, allowing us to add half our level to skill checks when we are untrained in it. Deku often finds himself in situations out of his depth or that need skills he isn't trained in, and he finds a way to scrape by. As for third rank spells, haste was given to us by divine access, and it makes us quicken for 1 minute, granting us an additional action to strike or stride. This is Deku mastering full howling. We can also take the Heroism spell, allowing us to touch an ally and bring out their inner hero, granting them a +1 status bonus to attack rolls, perception checks, saving throws, and skill checks. Just tell them to go plus ultra. At level 6, we can pick up Investigator's Stratagem, allowing us to devise a stratagem. We can spend an action to choose a foe we can see and roll a d20. If we make a strike roll against that foe this turn, we must use that roll. This is fine, as it allows us to know if it's worth it to get in and try a big launch attack, or to stay back and support our allies. But it really shines when combined with Pursue a Lead. If the target we choose is our current lead, we can instead use this as a free action to see if we hit or not before we commit to moving in, or even if the action is strike. If my arms ran the risk of shattering every time I threw a punch, I'd want to make sure my punch was actually going to do some damage. We can also take Automatic Knowledge, allowing us to make a free Arcana check every round, as long as we use Assurance on the roll. 80% of the show fights are Deku's internal monologue. I would hope it doesn't slow him down that much in battle. At level 7, we can take the Rapid Mantle skill feat to use our Athletics modifier rather than our Reflex save when we grab a ledge. This is especially good for us when we're suffering from our curse, as it is a way to escape or avoid the -2 penalty to saving throws. We also get Expert Spellcasting, bumping our proficiency with spells up to Expert, and Resolve, meaning our will saves are now Master Proficiency, and our successes on will saves count as crit successes. Also, we will have access to 4th rank spells. Airwalk is a legacy spell that lets us walk on air as if it was solid ground. Deku doesn't really fly in full cowling, but he does get some serious airtime, so Airwalk will help reflect that. Unfettered movement automatically attempts to counteract an effect that would give us a circumstance penalty to speed, and any attempt to escape you make automatically succeeds. You can't be the #1 hero if you're tied up on the sideline somewhere. Finally, Mountain's Resilience grants us Resistance 5 against physical damage for 20 minutes, with the catch of every time we get hit by a physical attack, the duration decreases by 1 minute. As Deku becomes more accustomed to One for All, he can use this to augment his body to offset his low con score. At level 8, we can take the class feat Advanced Revelation to gain the Battlefield Persistence focus spell, letting us stay in the fight a little longer. Whenever we make a saving throw, but haven't rolled yet, we can use this spell to get a +2 to the saving throw, plus count our level as 2 higher, allowing us to power through whatever the enemy throws at us. We also get a little harder to pin down with the Slippery Prey skill feat, effectively giving all our escape checks the Agile trait. At level 9, we pick up the Multi-Talented Ancestry feat to pick up the Mage's Dedication, letting us pick 2 cantrips from the Arcane spell list, in addition to our rank 5 spells. But before we cover those, let's cover Magical Fortitude, bumping our Fortitude to Expert. Okay, we covered it. Moving on to cantrips. For our Arcane cantrips, we can pick up Slashing Gust, allowing us to use Air Force. With this, we can make a spell attack roll against 2 of our foes within 60 feet, to hit them with a blast of air dealing 2d4 slashing damage, plus another d4 for every rank above first. We can also pick up Warp Step here, giving us a +5 status bonus to our movement speed and letting us stride to either close in or get some distance from our target. As for Oracle spells, there aren't a lot of good options here. Blink Charge lets us move to any square within 60 feet and then make a strike that deals an extra 2d8 force damage, and on a critical hit we can move the target 5 feet, but as for your other spell slots, just take heightened forms of the earlier spells. At 10th level we get another round of ability boost, so let's bump up our Strength, Dex, Int, and Charisma again. For our class feat we can pick up Arcane Fist, boosting our damage with our unarmed strikes up to a d6, and allowing us to apply our crit specializations. We also get the Wall Jump skill feat, allowing us to parkour through alleyways, making another leap action if we end our first one with an adjacent wall. 11th level gives us Quick Swim. We outsped Ida in a race, and his power is literally going fast. We also get Weapon Expertise and Alertness, boosting our proficiency in both Perception and Strikes to Expert. And Major Curse lets us push ourselves beyond our previous limits. If we are suffering from our Moderate Curse and we use another ability that would increase our curse, rather than being overwhelmed, we enter our Major Curse stage. In this stage, our fast healing increases to our level, we gain a +1 status bonus to our attack rolls with weapons and unarmed strikes, and our damage bonus increases to a +6 with those attacks. However, in addition to the drawbacks of the Moderate Curse, we are constantly stupefied too. As for spells at this level, Zealous Conviction lets us give an ally within 30 feet a pep talk, granting them 12 temporary hit points and a +2 status bonus save to mental effects. And Righteous Might turns us into a battle form with an AC equal to 20 plus our level, 10 temporary hit points, a speed of 40 feet, resistance 3 against physical damage, dark vision, an attack that has a minimum of +21 to hit and deals 3d8 plus 8, and an athletics score of +23. This battle form is definitely powerful. But keep in mind, as a polymorph spell, while we are in this form, we cannot cast other spells. At level 12, we can take the Kip Up skill feat, allowing us to stand from prone as a free action that does not provoke an attack of opportunity. And we can take Domain Fluency class feat to pick up the Enduring Might spell. With this, whenever we take damage, we can activate the spell to gain resistance to the damage equal to 8 plus our Strength modifier. All Might would be proud. At level 13, we can pick up Titan Wrestler to push around the likes of Radistro and Muscular. Just try not to end up in a wrestling match with Gigantomachia. I don't think you're ready for that just yet. Lightning Reflexes and Light Armor Expertise boost our armor proficiency and reflex saves both to expert, and Weapon Specialization gives us a +2 damage to strikes we are expert in. Moving on to level 14, we can pick up Basic Mage's Spellcasting to learn some Mage's spells for ranks 1 through 3. Featherfall lets us activate either Float or Black Whip to slow our fall and prevent us from taking damage. Long Strider boosts our speed by 10 feet for an hour, and Sure Strike lets us roll the next strike we make twice, and use the higher result while also ignoring the target's concealment. Level 15 Oracles get another round of ability boost. Let's take Strength, Dex, Int, and Charisma. Sound familiar yet? We also get the Cloud Jump skill feat, tripling the distance of our jumps and allowing us to jump further than our speed by contributing multiple actions. And Master Spellcaster boosts our proficiency in spells to master. As for rank 6 spells, I don't like any of these. For you, just take higher level versions of the spells you already have. At level 16, we pick up Expert Mage's Spellcasting, granting us 3 new spells. Let's pick up some of other one-for-all wielded quirks, shall we? Tether replicates Black Whip pretty well. A foe within 30 feet who must make a reflex save. On a failure, they take a -10 circumstance penalty to speeds, and must remain within 30 feet of us until they either escape or break the tether. Mist simulates Smokescreen, filling a 30-foot burst with obscuring mist and granting everything inside the mist concealment. And Fleet Step can replicate Gear Shift, granting us a plus 30-foot movement speed for 1 minute. At level 17, we can pick up Heroic Presence to grant 10 allies the benefits of Zealous Conviction spell, which we covered earlier. We also get Greater Resolve. This increases our will saves to legendary proficiency and counts all critical failures as normal failures. And if we roll a normal failure on a damaging effect, we take half damage. We also can push our body to its breaking point with the Extreme Curse feature. If we would progress our curse past the Major Curse, we become doomed too, in addition to the effect of the Major Curse. However, the power flowing through our body lets us reroll 1 failed attack roll, perception check, or saving throw once per 10 minutes. Finally, at level 17, Oracles get 9th rank spells. The Foresight spell gives us a +2 status bonus to initiative rolls, prevents us from being called off guard while flanked, and gives us a reaction that forces enemies to reroll attacks against us, or lets us reroll a failed saving throw. With this, we have finally replicated every ability that One for All gives Deku. For our next level, we pick up Master Spellcasting to finish off our spellbook. Black Tentacles lets us attempt to grab all creatures in a 20-foot burst within 120 feet. With a spell attack roll, each creature we succeed against takes 3d6 bludgeoning damage, and on future turns, the tentacles attempt to grab anyone who ends their turn in the area, dealing 1d6 bludgeoning damage. Bracing Tentacles lets us use Black Whip to hold ourselves in place. Anyone who tries to move you must make a check against your spell DC instead of your Fortitude DC, and anyone who would move you automatically must instead attempt to counteract Bracing Tentacles. If they fail to save, you can choose to have Bracing Tendrils lash out, pushing them back 5 feet instead. We can pick up Incredible Initiative at level 19, giving us a constant +2 status bonus to initiative checks, and Legendary Spellcaster boosting our spells DC to Legendary. Finally, we pick up 2 10th rank spells through the Ocular Clarity feature. Avatar lets us turn into our most powerful battle form, granting us an AC of 25 plus our level, 30 temporary hit points, dark vision, an athletics bonus of +35, a movement and fly speed of 80 feet, a melee strike that does 68 plus 6 damage, and an Air Force strike that does 64 plus 6 bludgeoning damage with a range of 60 feet. If Deku had a muscle form like All Might, this would be it. We can also pick up Indestructibility, protecting us from everything except the gods themselves, until the beginning of our next turn. Finally, we have reached level 20. We can take the Capstone Mystery Conduit. With this, when we cast a spell of 5th level or lower, rather than expending a spell slot, we can simply progress our curse. And for our final skill feat, we can take Quick Climb to give ourselves a climb speed equal to our land speed. Alright, now let's take a look at the pros and cons of this build. For pros, Investigator Stratagem basically means we never have to waste an action on a missed strike, especially if we can scout our foe ahead of time. And if we can't strike our opponent, we have plenty of other things we can do, from supporting our allies to using athletic maneuvers like grapple and shove, to our many defensive spell options. And finally, we have mobility options for days. Deku can become quickened, boost his speed, has both a swim speed and a climb speed, and can get into flight easily. As for cons, overall gives us a lot of abilities, but taking all these abilities mean we don't particularly excel at any one playstyle. Next, our strikes are not nearly as offensive as I would like it to be. Doing 4d6 plus 7 base, we can boost that with our curse or in our battle forms, but right out of the box we'll be doing rather middling damage. Finally, going mages as our secondary class does not do us any favors in the way of arcane spell slots. We only get to prepare 4 spells per day. If you want more, you could switch it out for wizard, but then we'd have no way to get d6s for unarmed strikes until way later in the build, and we already get it pretty late. Besides, we aren't power building here, and I really wanted the mages to reflect Deku learning to emulate Bakugo's moves. Oh no, did I just spoil next week's video? If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe and comment any characters that you would like to see next.